Part 1, the field of the subconscious, the gardener and the seeds. Deep within you, beyond the noise of the world, lies a quiet field where every thought you have ever held becomes a seed, falling into the fertile soil of the mind and beginning to take root. Everything in the universe, from the farthest star to the mightiest oak, begins with a single idea. Nothing else your life today is simply the harvest of the seeds you once planted. Within you, two forces coexist, the gardener and the garden. The gardener is the conscious mind, the observer, the chooser, the one who sometimes doubts. The garden is the subconscious, the silent land that is loyal and obedient. This soil does not distinguish between flowers and weeds. It knows only one thing: to receive whatever seed is given and nourish it with the full energy of life. That is why what you harvest today is neither a reward nor a punishment. It is the exact result of what you have sown. We often wonder why life is filled with things we do not desire: failure, fear, doubt. Yet when we look closely, we may realize that we unknowingly allowed those seeds to drift into our garden. The winds of the world carry thoughts of fear and fragments of uncertainty, and in a moment of unawareness we let them take root. When the harvest arrives, we are surprised to see weeds everywhere and blame fate, while forgetting that we were the ones who chose the seeds. This is the moment to awaken the gardener within. It is the moment to reclaim the greatest power creation has given you, the power to choose the seeds for the soil of your mind. From this moment, you are no longer a victim of random winds, but a deliberate planter. If you sow thoughts of peace, you will harvest serenity. If you sow thoughts of gratitude, you will harvest abundance. If you sow thoughts of fear, you will harvest more things to fear. The soil does not take sides, it simply obeys. When you understand this, you begin to see life operating under a perfectly fair order. The external world is not working against you. Your inner mind is simply carrying out the instructions you have given it. And the miracle is that by changing the seeds, you change the entire harvest. Pause for a moment. Close your eyes and imagine that this morning you planted a new seed in that field, a seed of confidence, of love, of a wider vision. How would your life begin to shift? This is not a lesson about miracles. It is an invitation to return to the mastery of your own garden. Take the tool of awareness, reshape the soil where weeds have taken over, and begin again. Choose the seeds with love, plant them with faith, and water them with gratitude. For the field of the subconscious never dries. It only waits for the awakened gardener to step in and call spring to rise once more. The part 2, the inner war in the mind, the root of self-sabotage. Deep within every person there are always two voices. One urges you forward and one pulls you back. These forces do not live outside but reside together within the same mind. One is the conscious mind, the dreamer, the strategist, the commander filled with ambition. The other is the subconscious, the powerful army trained by old beliefs. When they send opposing commands, you fall into division and the inner war begins. You have felt this before. One morning you wake filled with motivation and you tell yourself, I will change. I will live with more discipline, work with more focus, love myself more. But by night you find yourself curled under a blanket, scrolling for hours or reaching for food you know you should avoid. Disappointment washes over you and you sigh, thinking you are weak or lack willpower. But you are mistaken. Your will is not weak. It is simply trapped in a battle whose rules you have not understood. Within you there are two armies, the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious mind is the elite unit, clear, logical, able to plan in the short term, but it tires easily. Every time you resist an old habit, your willpower drains. The subconscious is not small. It is a vast army driven by emotions and habits. It works without rest even when you sleep. It does not reason, it only obeys. And it listens only to commands written with emotion, repetition, and experience. When the conscious mind says, I want success, but the subconscious still holds the old command that success brings danger or judgment, conflict erupts. Your will can push for a while, but eventually it exhausts. The subconscious, patient and loyal, waits for the moment you are tired and pulls you back to familiar patterns. That is why short bursts of effort always lose to long-standing habits. Imagine your mind as a ship with two people steering. The conscious mind is the captain standing on deck giving directions, but the muscles that move the ship belong to the subconscious crew below. If the captain says east, but the crew still follows an old map pointing west, the ship circles endlessly. The captain believes he is powerless, but the real issue is not ability, but miscommunication. This means you do not need to defeat yourself. You only need to learn how to negotiate with yourself. The subconscious is not a rebel, but a loyal soldier, following old orders given long ago when you heard adults say money is hard to earn, or when a teacher once told you that you were not good enough. It still obeys those voices, unaware that you have grown and changed. The inner war ends only when both armies face the same direction. This cannot be achieved through force, but through understanding. You must show the subconscious that the new command is safe, that success is no longer dangerous, that happiness is no longer forbidden. When this happens, the subconscious does not resist. It becomes your strongest ally. Self-sabotage is not a flaw, but a signal of conflict. It tells you that you are giving two commands at once, one toward the light and one back into the shadows. Do not punish yourself for this. Be grateful, because at least you can hear the shots of the war within. Hearing them is the first step to awakening. Now pause, relax, and ask yourself, are you fighting against a part of your own being? Is there a decision you have made many times, yet always undone with your own hands? Listen for the answer in silence. Only when you know which battlefield you stand on can you lay down your weapons and begin the journey toward reconciliation. Part 3. The two armies, the general of willpower and the commander of habit. Imagine your mind as a kingdom with two legions. On the hilltop, in the bright light of day, stands the camp of the conscious army, small but highly trained. Beneath the ground, vast like a labyrinth, lies the base of the subconscious army, powerful, silent, and absolutely loyal. Both armies serve one king, which is you. Yet throughout most of life, they do not speak the same language. When their commands collide, the kingdom falls into turmoil. The conscious army is the intelligent general. It analyzes plans, reasons, and makes decisions. Its commands are spoken through words and logic. It says, from tomorrow I will exercise, I will save money, I will live positively. But the subconscious army, the commander of habit, does not understand that language. It does not respond to verbal orders. It listens to rhythm, emotion, and patterns repeated thousands of times. For it, any action once performed with strong emotion becomes sacred law, and it will obey until you write a new law. Willpower is like a young, brave general holding a bright sword, ready to charge into old trenches. But the commander of habit has dug those trenches for years, armored with countless repetitions. In a direct clash, willpower tires first. Habit, patient and persistent, waits for the moment you loosen your guard and reclaims familiar territory. This is why you can stay consistent for days or weeks, then return to old patterns. Not because you lack strength, but because you have not changed the strategy. To win this battle, you must stop trying to defeat habit. You need to understand it and retrain it. The commander of habit is not your enemy. It is protecting you based on an outdated map. Every action you call bad was once a survival strategy. Procrastination once shielded you from failure. Avoidance once protected you from hurt. Doubt once prevented you from mistakes. These are loyal soldiers. They only need new assignments. Begin by observing your habits the way a strategist observes sleeping allies. Do not judge. Simply note, my commander is following old orders. Give them names. Commander procrastination, commander fear, commander doubt. By naming them, you separate yourself from them. You become the awakened commander instead of an unconscious soldier. When you want change, do not simply command, I will do things differently. Picture the new habit as a retraining campaign. Just as a general rewrites the training manual, you must give the subconscious new emotional commands, images, rhythms, and repetition. Combine the logical command of the conscious mind with the emotional language the subconscious understands. Then the two armies no longer collide but cooperate. Willpower needs to give the order only once. Habit will take over the rest. The commander of habit has two powerful weapons, emotion and time. A repeated emotion becomes a permanent order, and a habit strengthened for 21 days can replace an old path. You do not need to defeat old emotions. You only need to plant new ones that are stronger. If fear says, "Do not move forward," it is a dangerous answer with a feeling of excitement and discovery. The new emotion becomes a new command. Once the commander of habit receives a new plan, you will see change unfold. What once required effort becomes natural. Your body wakes early on its own. Your mind chooses what is good without struggle. Your hands act on what needs to be done. When the two armies align, life moves smoothly, like wheels locking into place. Now pause for a few seconds, breathe deeply, and soften your body. Look inward. Which of the two armies holds power in you today? Is it the general of willpower, burning bright yet easily tired, or the commander of habit, loyal to ancient laws? If you sense both, that is a good sign. Only when you see both the general and the commander can you bring them to the same negotiation table. If you are ready to reconcile the two armies within you, leave a message saying, "I am ready to change," or simply the number 1. So I know that the gardener within you has awakened and the commander inside you is prepared to begin a new era of the mind. The Part 4, the battlefield map, the 2-column journal, and the search for root beliefs. Whenever a person falls into self-sabotage, the real issue is not the strength of their will, but the hidden orders they have not yet seen. Deep in the mind, a secret command system is at work. Old beliefs, unnamed emotions and habits once programmed to protect you from pain. If you do not identify them, you remain trapped in a blind war between what you want and what you were conditioned to fear. This is when you need a battlefield map, not of the outer world, but of your own mind. This map helps you see where the two armies are pulling against each other, where conflicting orders are issued, and where you must give new instructions. And there is only one person who can draw this map you. Prepare a notebook and place it on the table as a small personal ritual. Call it the 2-column journal. On the first page, draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write the orders of the conscious general. On the right side, write the actions of the subconscious army. This will be where you compare the two forces within you. Begin with one area of life: health, finance, work, or relationships. In the left column, write the goals, the decisions, the orders you often give yourself. I want to exercise 3 times a week. I will control my spending. I want to study more, to grow. Write every promise you have ever made to yourself. Now move to the right column. Be completely honest, but without judgment. Write what actually happens. I go to the gym once, then stop. I buy things I do not need. I spend hours on my phone instead of studying. Do not hide anything. Your goal is not to blame yourself, but to observe like a scientist studying their own experiment. The next step is the most important: searching for the root belief. Under each action in the right column, answer the question, what belief or emotion commanded this behavior? Ask yourself, why did I do the opposite of what I wanted? You may discover that the reason is not laziness, but a deep belief, such as I am not good enough. Success will make me disliked. I fear failure because it brings shame. You will be surprised to see that behind every self-sabotaging behavior, there is always an intention to protect you. Your subconscious is not a traitor. It is trying to save you from an old pain it does not know has ended. If you were once ridiculed for speaking incorrectly, your subconscious may order you to stay silent to avoid hurt. And now, whenever you prepare to speak in public, you feel fear. This is not weakness. It is an old order, still active. When you write these beliefs down, you have already done something powerful, bringing darkness into the light. What is seen loses its power to control you. This is the first step toward freedom. Be patient with this process. Each line in the 2-column journal is a stone laid on the path to inner peace. At first, you may feel overwhelmed, seeing how many conflicting orders exist within you. Do not fear this. The map is not for judgment. It is for understanding, and understanding is the highest form of forgiveness. When you have completed several pages, read them slowly. You will notice something interesting. Every conflict in your life traces back to a few core repeating beliefs. They are like background programs in a system. Change or erase one belief, and your entire behavioral pattern changes with it. This is why you do not need to control hundreds of habits. You only need to find the root command and rewrite it. For example, once you realize the belief "I am not good enough" is directing your life, write a new command beneath it. "I am learning, I am improving, and I am capable of creating value." Write it again and again until it no longer feels like a statement, but feels like a truth living inside you. This is how you update the map. Starting today, take 5 minutes each evening to fill in the 2-column journal. Treat it as a short meeting between the general and the commander. When they begin to understand each other, the war ends. And when the war ends, your energy, once scattered, becomes a single current flowing toward your chosen direction. Remember, no map is wrong. There are only maps that are unfinished. Each line you write is a step toward awakening, and only those who dare to look at the landscape within have the right to become the true commander of the kingdom of the mind. Part 5. Interviewing the old general, a dialogue with outdated delay and self-protection. After drawing the battlefield map and seeing the conflicting orders in your mind, the next stage is not attack, but dialogue. You cannot heal through war. Real strength comes when you dare to sit down, face the part you once called the saboteur, and ask, "What are you trying to protect me from?" This is the interview with the old general, the sacred conversation between you and the parts of yourself that were once misunderstood. Every act of delay, fear, or doubt is not an enemy. They are old soldiers still loyal to ancient commands written in childhood memories when you were small and needed protection. Delay may once have saved you from ridicule. Doubt may once have kept you from being hurt. Control may once have kept you safe in a world that felt unpredictable. But these soldiers never received the message that the old war has ended. So whenever you try to step out of your comfort zone, they pull you back, believing they are fulfilling their duty. The first step of the interview is acknowledgement. Not admitting fault, but acknowledging presence. Sit still, close your eyes, breathe deeply. Imagine you are in a soft-lit round room, and before you is an empty chair. On that chair, invite one part of yourself, perhaps delay or fear or doubt. Give it a shape, a face, even a name. Address it as a real being. "Hello, my friend, delay." Now begin the dialogue. Ask simple, sincere questions. What are you trying to protect me from? What do you fear will happen if I succeed? If I begin this project, what terrible thing do you believe will come? Do not force an answer. Just listen. You may hear responses arise within you, such as, "I am afraid of being judged. I am afraid of failing. I am afraid I am not good enough." These are the words of the old general. He is not malicious. He is simply holding the map of a war long past. When you hear this, offer gratitude. Do not debate or dismiss. Say, "Thank you for protecting me all this time, but that war is over. I am no longer the fragile child I once was. I am capable of living, learning, and growing. You may rest now." This is the moment you declare a ceasefire within. Next, reassign the old general. Do not dismiss him, because the subconscious does not understand the idea of elimination. Give him a new task that suits the present. If delay once protected you from exhaustion, tell him, "From now on, you do not need to stop me from acting. Help me pause only when real rest is needed." If doubt once helped you prepare, tell him, "Use your caution to help me see risks while still moving forward." By doing this, you transform the obstacle into an ally. You may write the entire dialogue in your journal. Let the words flow freely. Write as if you are interviewing an old friend you have not seen in years. Do not edit or judge. The more honest you are, the more the subconscious cooperates. You may find curious exchanges such as, "I only want you to be safe. I fear you will be hurt if you fail. I do not believe you have changed. Do not laugh. Be grateful." These words reveal the emotional map you once carried without knowing. When the dialogue ends, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and imagine shaking hands with the old general. In that handshake, you send the message of peace. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are unifying the entire inner kingdom. The energy once used for inner conflict now becomes power for creation. This is a turning point in your journey. When you can speak with your unconscious, you become the true commander, one who no longer needs to shout in order to be heard, speaking instead with understanding and compassion. From now on, whenever you feel hesitation, remember that it is simply a loyal soldier asking for new instructions. Smile, call his name and say, "I hear you, but we have a new mission now. Let us move forward together." This is not merely a psychological exercise. It is a ritual of unification. Once you can converse with yourself without judgment, you find the shortest path to freedom. There is no war more fierce than the one within, and no victory greater than guiding both sides to raise the flag of peace. Part 6. The law of reverse effort and the key of imagination. There are moments when you try your very best to change, yet the harder you push, the worse everything seems to become. You try to forget your worries, yet the more you try, the bigger they grow. You try to force yourself to sleep, yet sleep slips away. You try to be cheerful, yet the more you push yourself, the heavier your mood becomes. You begin to wonder if you are doing something wrong. In truth, you are simply breaking a law of the mind, the law of reverse effort. This law says that when willpower and imagination are in conflict, imagination always wins without effort. You can use your will to push a door open, but if on the other side your imagination is holding it shut, then no matter how hard you push, the door does not move. This is why people fail when they try to change through strain alone. Imagine a simple example. You see a wooden plank on the ground as wide as a walkway. You can step across it easily and without thinking. Now picture the same plank placed between two tall buildings high in the sky. It is the same plank and the same step, yet suddenly your legs shake, your heart races, and you cannot move. Your will says, "I can do this," yet your imagination shouts, "I will fall." As always, imagination wins. The subconscious does not understand rigid commands. It does not really hear, "Do not be afraid." It only hears afraid. It does not grasp, "Do not fail." It only sees the image of failure. So when you say, "I do not want to worry anymore," the picture of worry is already planted. The subconscious, as a loyal servant, simply responds, "Understood, I will reproduce this." Now you see why the more you try to escape fear, the more afraid you feel, and the more you force happiness, the more false you feel. Willpower, in its effort to resist, is feeding the very thing you want to avoid. This is the spiral of reverse effort. The only way out is to change the language. You move from the language of force and command to the language of images, feelings, and beliefs. This is the language that the subconscious truly understands, the language of imagination. Imagination is not a childish game. It is the creative tool of the universe. Every invention, every symphony, every great idea was once an image in someone's mind. Imagination is the workshop of reality. When you picture something with strong feeling, the subconscious begins to match it and carry it out. It does not distinguish between real and unreal, between present and future. It only receives orders through pictures and emotions. You can test this now. Close your eyes and imagine that you are standing in soft morning light, taking a deep breath and feeling joy gently spreading through your body. Nothing outside has changed yet for a few seconds. Your body responds as if it were real. Your breath slows, your shoulders soften, your heartbeat becomes calmer. One simple image has already created a biological effect. If you plant such images every day, what will happen to the whole course of your life? This is why Joseph Murphy said that imagination is the door between the conscious and the subconscious. Willpower gives the order, yet imagination translates that order into the language the subconscious can understand. When both sides speak the same language, life begins to look like a miracle. To see this more clearly, try a small experiment. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and say, "I must relax right now." You will notice your body becoming more tense. Willpower has just created the opposite reaction. Now change your approach. Imagine that you are lying on warm grass, feeling gentle sunlight on your skin, and hearing a soft breeze. Without any command, the body starts to loosen. You have just used the law of reverse effort in your favor by stopping the struggle and starting to imagine. Remember that in any conflict between logic and images, images always win. If you want to change, do not push harder. Simply change the inner movie. Whenever your mind plays the old film of fear, doubt, or failure, replace it with a new film of peace, confidence, and success. The subconscious does not know which film is real. It only knows which film you play more often. Here lies the key. Use emotion as the power source for imagination. Dry images are just sketches. Emotion is the current that turns the sketch into reality. When you imagine what you desire while feeling joy, calm, and gratitude, you are sending the most powerful command the subconscious can receive. From today, watch how you give orders to your mind. Whenever you feel yourself forcing and straining, pause and breathe and ask, what am I imagining right now? That picture, not your words, is the blueprint of your future. Practice speaking the language of the subconscious, clear images, strong feelings, and quiet trust. When you learn to communicate in this way, you no longer need to force anything. Life will begin to flow by itself like a river that has finally found its true riverbed, moving toward the ocean without struggle. Look at one area where you are currently trying too hard, perhaps losing weight, controlling anger, or letting go of someone from the past. Now, instead of forcing, imagine. Picture the version of you who has already reached that state and feel the peace, freedom, and lightness in that moment. Hold that image in your heart for a few minutes each day. You are no longer fighting for change, you are creating it. When imagination becomes your habit, every effort grows lighter. Then you discover that your power does not lie in trying more. It lies in pausing at the right moment and imagining in the right way. Part 7. The native language of the subconscious images, feelings, and stories. From the moment you cried your first cry, your mind began recording. Before you knew how to speak, you already knew how to feel. Imagine and store the world in pictures and emotions. This is why early memories, even without words, can make you cry or smile when they suddenly return. The first language of a human being is not written symbols, but images and feelings. And this is also the native language of the subconscious, the language through which every command in the universe communicates. The subconscious does not understand abstract concepts. It does not react to reasoning or analysis. When you say, I want success, it does not know what success means. But if you paint in your mind a vivid picture of yourself standing on a stage, hearing applause, and feeling joy spreading through your whole body, then in that moment the subconscious understands. It receives the command and begins to act. This language has 3 elements: images, feelings, and stories. Images are the letters, feelings are the grammar, and stories are the tone that brings every command to life. Begin with images. Every time you think of something, an image instantly appears. If I say your house, you do not see the word house. You see the roof, the windows, the familiar corner of a room. The subconscious responds to images immediately. This is why you do not think about fear. Because the moment you try not to think, the image appears. Instead of resisting, you must replace. Project a new frame onto the screen of your mind, one filled with peace, light, and trust. The second element is emotion. If images are seeds, emotion is the water that makes them sprout. A dry image has little power, but when you breathe emotion into it, it becomes a command. Think of a moment you felt deep gratitude, perhaps an embrace from someone you love, or a moment you narrowly escaped danger. When that feeling rises, you are at the frequency of creation. If at that moment you imagine what you desire, the subconscious records the command with a power far greater than any dry affirmation. And then there is story. The mind is born to tell stories. Even in dreams, the subconscious speaks in symbols and plot lines. Every time you tell a story about yourself, you are programming the subconscious. If the story you repeat is, I always fail, then that becomes a daily command. But if you rewrite the script into, I am learning, and each setback makes me stronger, you have rewritten the lead role in the film of your own life. This is why myths, parables, and metaphors have survived for thousands of years. They are not merely moral lessons. They awaken the subconscious. When you hear a story, your conscious mind relaxes, but the subconscious opens wide and receives the hidden message without resistance. So when you tell yourself a new story, speak not with logic alone, but with images and emotion. Now try a small exercise. Close your eyes and choose one simple goal, perhaps confidence when speaking in public. Imagine yourself stepping onto a stage not with fear but with joy. Hear the applause. Feel the warm light on your face. Let pride, gratitude, and happiness flow through you. Stay in that scene for a few minutes. You have just spoken directly to your subconscious in the language it knows best. If you do this every day, the subconscious will begin to rewrite your script, not through thought, but through a deep belief that you belong in the light. When you understand this language, you no longer need to force yourself. You do not need to command, I must be confident. You simply need to see yourself confident. You do not need to say, I must forgive. You only need to imagine yourself smiling at the past with peace. Imagination is action on a higher plane. Because in the eyes of the subconscious, whatever is imagined with clarity and feeling is already real. From here, you can begin practicing each day. Choose one image that represents what you desire. Create a strong emotion when thinking of it: joy, peace, gratitude. Tell a short story with you as the main character who has already achieved it. This is not daydreaming. It is sending orders to the subconscious. Each day, your inner movie ends with the same happy ending, and the subconscious begins to believe that this is reality. And when it believes, it mobilizes the entire inner universe to turn that belief into an outer result. Now pause for a moment. Write a short affirmation in the comments, or simply the number 1 if you are ready to tell a new story about yourself. Because the moment you dare to write it, you begin projecting a new film onto the screen of your mind. And that is how every miracle begins, not through force, but through the images, feelings, and stories you choose to believe. Part 8, Scientific Prayer, Autosuggestion, and the 4 principles. For thousands of years people have prayed, yet most prayers are cries of despair sent into the sky in hope that someone might hear. They beg an outside power, while the real strength lies deep within them in the subconscious, where every command is received and executed with absolute precision. Prayer in Joseph Murphy teaching is not begging, but commanding with faith, speaking to the subconscious in the language of truth. This is why he calls it scientific prayer, not religion, but a method operating by the laws of the mind. Autosuggestion is the tool of this form of prayer. It is the conscious act of choosing the seeds of thought you want to plant into the subconscious. When you repeat them with feeling and belief, they take root, become new commands, and the subconscious, the loyal servant, carries them out. There is no magic here, only a simple law. Every thought planted long enough with emotion becomes belief, and belief becomes reality. To make autosuggestion truly effective, you must master 4 golden principles. The first is simplicity and clarity. The subconscious is like an intelligent child that does not understand complicated language. It does not respond to long or abstract sentences. When you say, I am developing a multi-layered strategy to improve my finances, the subconscious hears nothing. But if you say, money comes to me easily and continuously, it understands. The simpler and more visual the words, the stronger the command. Choose short, clear phrases. I am safe, I am at peace, I am loved. Each one is a solid brick in the foundation of a new mind. The second principle is the present tense. This is the biggest mistake beginners make. They often say, I will be happy, I will be healthy, I will be successful. But the subconscious lives only in the present. It does not understand the idea of will. When you say, I will, you place happiness far ahead, always in tomorrow, never in today. The subconscious faithfully keeps it there. Speak as if what you desire already exists. I am happy, I am healthy, I am successful. The feeling of being activates the subconscious and compels it to maintain that state. The third principle is emotion as the electricity of thought. A lifeless affirmation has no power. You can say, I am peaceful 100 times and still feel anxious if your heart is cold. Emotion is the energy that activates the command. Before speaking, breathe slowly, close your eyes and feel. Imagine the thing you affirm is happening right now. If you say, I am healthy, feel a wave of vitality moving through your body. If you say, I am loved, recall a moment when someone looked at you with warmth. When emotion rises, speak your affirmation. Each word then becomes a spark that burns a pathway from the conscious mind to the subconscious. The fourth principle is consistency and repetition. No one plants a seed today and expects fruit tomorrow. Programming the subconscious is a process, not a single act. Each repetition deepens the groove of a new belief in the brain. At first, the old paths of doubt, fear, and failure remain. But if you keep walking the new path day after day, it becomes the main road. Then new actions, new feelings, and new results appear effortlessly. To practice, choose one core affirmation, a simple, present, positive phrase filled with emotion. For example, I am peaceful and strong. Money comes to me naturally and easily. I am loved and I radiate love. Do not choose too many. One sentence can guide your entire day. Repeat it in the morning, when you wake, at night, before sleep, and whenever your mind wavers. Joseph Murphy calls this the lullaby method for the subconscious. Right before sleep, when the boundary between conscious and subconscious fades, repeat your affirmations softly like a lullaby. Do not force belief. Just listen to your own voice and let it be the last thing your mind hears before dreaming. As you sleep, the subconscious completes the work. Remember, auto-suggestion is not force. It is planting. You do not need to prove your affirmation. You only need to plant it long enough for the subconscious to believe. Once it believes, it gathers every inner and outer resource to make it real. If today you feel tired, discouraged, or lost, pause and repeat silently, I am being guided, I am at peace, everything is unfolding for my highest good. Repeat it like a gentle melody. Slowly, this melody will replace the noise of worry. And one day you will see that what you once prayed for has become the life you are living. For scientific prayer is not asking but trusting, not waiting for a miracle but creating one through the laws of the mind. The one who practices it is no longer a seeker, but a creator, one who commands with love and faith, then waits in peace for the harvest to come. Part 9. The two golden gates each day, the nighttime lullaby and the morning command. Each day you are given two golden moments to speak directly to the subconscious, the moment you are falling asleep and the moment you are waking. These two moments are the golden gates connecting the conscious and the subconscious, the world of thought and the world of creation. When you know how to use them, you turn them into sacred rituals that can reprogram your entire life. Begin with the evening, the hour when the mind slowly releases the noise of the world. As the body tires and the conscious mind weakens, the door of the subconscious opens the widest. This is why the final thoughts before sleep hold the power to shape your tomorrow. Many people do not know this. They fall asleep in worry, fear, and resentment. They carry these thoughts into sleep, like burning embers that glow through the night and wake with heaviness and unease. If you have ever spent a restless night, you know that the images and feelings before sleep are the seeds planted in the deepest soil of the mind. Joseph Murphy calls this the moment of lulling the subconscious, a ritual that, if practiced steadily, can help you reclaim the steering wheel of your destiny. Before sleep, soften the lights, avoid strong sounds, and place your body in stillness. Choose one beautiful thought from the day, a short, positive, and emotional affirmation. Repeat it slowly in your mind like a gentle lullaby, such as I am at peace, I am loved, I am being guided. Let it be the last sound your mind hears. When you sleep, the subconscious receives the command without argument or resistance and works all night to make it real. If your mind prefers images, use the nighttime cinema technique Murphy describes. Imagine yourself living in the result you desire, not in the process of achieving it. If you desire success, do not picture yourself struggling. See yourself celebrating and giving thanks that success has arrived. If you desire peace, imagine your face, calm your breath, steady your heart at ease. Feel every detail as if you are truly inside that scene. Repeat this short film until sleep takes you. The subconscious records every frame and begins to operate according to the script you have given it. Morning is the second gate. In the first minutes after waking, the conscious mind is not fully active and the subconscious remains open. This is the moment you can give the order for the day. Yet most people do the opposite. They reach for their phone, read news, scroll through social media, and let hundreds of chaotic messages flood their mind. Before the day has even begun, they have already allowed the world to command their subconscious. Change this ritual. When you first open your eyes, do not touch your phone and do not think of work. Lie still for a few minutes, feel your body awakening, then gently speak positive affirmations in your mind or out loud. Begin with gratitude. Give thanks that you are able to wake, that your body is alive, that a new day is waiting for you to create something good. Then choose a command for the day. Say, today I am peaceful and confident. Today everything that comes to me serves my highest good. Today I choose to see the world with love. When you speak these words, in that dreamy state between sleep and wake, the subconscious receives them as the starting command of the day. You can elevate the morning ritual by writing down 3 things you are grateful for. This simple act is incredibly powerful because gratitude is the highest frequency a person can generate. When you begin the day with gratitude, you set the energetic tone for the hours ahead. The subconscious will then seek more reasons to maintain that state. These 2 gates, when used wisely, turn you into the full-time architect of your own life. Evening is the moment you plant your command. Morning is the moment you receive the response. Night is when you speak to the subconscious. Day is when the subconscious answers through events. If you plant thoughts of clarity, you harvest peace. If you plant gratitude, you harvest miracles. Remember, you do not need to change the whole world. You only need to change these 2 moments. 1 positive affirmation before sleep and 1 grateful command upon waking can rewrite the entire story of your life. And if you try it tonight, gently repeating in your mind, I am guided, I am safe, I am falling asleep in peace, then tomorrow morning when you open your eyes, you will notice something different, a quiet and profound calm, as if life itself has begun to move in harmony with the gentle rhythm of your mind. Part 10, editing the book of your life, redefining the past and cutting the cord of resentment. Every life is a book in progress, and many of its pages were written before we were wise enough to hold the pen. Some chapters were written in fear, some passages stained with tears, and some lines carved by old wounds. The problem is that even as the years pass, those old pages continue to issue commands. Your subconscious, loyal beyond measure, keeps rereading those old sentences and obeying them as if they were truth. Each moment of fear, failure, or self-blame is simply an ancient instruction being carried out. You cannot erase the past, but you can do something far more powerful. You can change its meaning. When you change the meaning of a memory, you change the power it holds over your present life. Imagine yourself sitting in the library of your mind, surrounded by old books containing every memory you have lived. Some volumes you have never dared to open because you fear the pain buried inside. Yet these are the books that hold the hidden orders shaping your current life. To be truly free, you must become the editor of your own life story, not to burn the book, but to rewrite its ending. When a painful memory rises, do not push it away, and do not try to forget. The more you try to forget, the deeper you carve it. Sit still and look at the memory as an editor studying a paragraph. Ask, what is this page trying to teach me? A betrayal may teach you the value of trust placed wisely. A failure that once discouraged you may teach humility and better preparation. When you view the past with understanding, its meaning instantly changes. Pain becomes experience, wounds become lessons, and those who once hurt you become silent teachers. Joseph Murphy calls this the art of subconscious healing. You do not need to erase a memory. You only need to teach the subconscious a new interpretation. It will update the command and stop recreating the old pain. When you forgive, you are not releasing others. You are releasing yourself from the chains of resentment. Forgiveness is not acceptance of what was wrong. It is choosing not to let that wound govern you any longer. There are 3 actions that help you edit the book of your life: forgiveness, redefining failure, and releasing guilt. Forgiveness is disconnecting from negative energy. Whenever you still resent someone, you are still holding the cord that binds you to the past. Close your eyes, imagine the person or event that hurt you. Picture a cord of light between you and gently cut it, saying, I release you, and in releasing you, I free myself. Repeat this each day, and your energy begins to shift. Redefining failure is the second step. Failure is not a full stop, but a pause to adjust the map. When you see every mistake as a chance to learn, your subconscious stops treating risk as danger. It will no longer erect fences of fear when you start something new. Rewrite your old stories. Instead of saying, "That year I lost everything," say, "That year I learned the art of management." Instead of saying, "I was abandoned," say, "That year I learned to stand on my own." When you rename old chapters, you give new orders to the mind. The final step is releasing guilt. Guilt is like a curse that prevents you from allowing happiness. It whispers that you do not deserve joy, and each time you near it, you pull yourself back. Remember, no one can punish you forever except you. Close your eyes and say, "I did the best I could with the awareness and ability I had then, and now I choose to forgive myself." When you speak these words, you sign the pardon for your own soul. One small ritual can help you close an old chapter, writing a letter of return. Write a letter to the person, event, or past version of yourself. Say everything you never dared to say, including anger and pain. Then at the end, write, "I return this belief to you. It is no longer mine, and I welcome my freedom." When you finish, burn or tear the letter, not to erase it, but to symbolize release. From that moment, you realize something profound. The past has no power except the meaning you give it. Change the meaning, and you change the future. The past is a book in the library. You cannot rewrite what has been printed, but you can write a new preface. That preface can turn a tragic tale into the anthem of your growth. If tonight before sleep you say to yourself, "I am grateful for the past, for it taught me strength. I am grateful for pain, for it taught me compassion, and I choose to move forward in peace," the subconscious will hear. And tomorrow when you wake, you will feel lighter, as if you left an old suitcase behind on the road. For in the world of the mind, nothing binds you except the story you still believe is true. Part 11, the command of joy. Building the habit of happiness as a daily duty. People are often taught that happiness is a reward, that only after achieving something great, having enough money, enough love, or enough success, do we earn the right to be happy. Yet Joseph Murphy pointed to the opposite truth. Happiness is not a reward, but a command, not a result, but a beginning. When you choose happiness, you are giving the subconscious an order to create things that match that state. And when happiness becomes a habit, your life naturally moves to the frequency of joy. Most of us were programmed incorrectly from childhood. We were taught that we must struggle, endure, and overcome hardship before receiving happiness. This creates a loop of constant lack. If happiness only comes after conditions, we will never have enough. Today you want a better job, tomorrow a higher position. Then you believe that only with love, a home, a family, you can rest. But when these arrive, the mind keeps placing new conditions, and you continue postponing happiness. The subconscious obeys this order and keeps happiness ahead like a shadow you never touch. Murphy teaches that happiness is the natural habit of the mind, while unhappiness is the result of wrong practice. When you often think about worries, the subconscious learns to worry. When you often complain, the subconscious memorizes complaining as an automatic reaction. But when you choose happiness each morning, the subconscious records that choice and turns it into your default state. Like a muscle, the more you use the feeling of happiness, the stronger it becomes. To reprogram the habit of happiness, you follow 3 simple yet powerful commands: the morning command, the mental diet, and the gratitude anchor. The morning command is the first order of the day. When your eyes open, do not let news, social media, or worry rush in. Place your hand on your heart and say slowly, "Today I choose happiness. I command my subconscious to see everything in a peaceful light. I choose joy as the rhythm of this day." This simple sentence shifts the entire frequency you radiate. It is like tuning an instrument before the orchestra begins. When the first note is right, the whole symphony aligns. The mental diet is the second principle. You cannot have a healthy mind if you feed it toxic energy daily. Like the body, the mind needs clean food. Stop consuming negative conversations, pessimistic news, and constant complaints. Whenever you hear or say something negative, pause and choose silence. Silence is sometimes the shield that protects your energy. Spend time on nourishing things. Read a good page. Listen to gentle music. Speak with someone uplifting. Each choice is a healthy mental meal that keeps your inner world clear. The third principle is the gratitude anchor. Gratitude is the highest emotional frequency. When you truly feel grateful, you cannot feel fear or anger at the same time. Gratitude opens the door to happiness. Choose a small gesture as the signal for gratitude, perhaps placing your hand on your heart or touching your thumb and index finger. Whenever you feel joy or a touching moment, make the gesture and say thank you silently. Repeat it often until one day, with a simple touch, gratitude rushes in automatically like a natural reflex. To strengthen these principles, create a small challenge called 7 days without complaining. During these 7 days, commit to avoiding complaints entirely. If you slip, notice it, smile, and start again. You can wear a bracelet, and each time you complain, move it to the other wrist as a reminder. This is not a game, but a process to see how you have been giving orders to your subconscious. After a few days, you will be surprised to see yourself speaking less, smiling more, and feeling lighter in your mind. At the end of the day, before sleep, write down 3 things you feel grateful for. They can be as small as a good meal, a kind sentence, or simply the fact that you breathed fully. When you write them, you are reinforcing the command of joy in the subconscious. Over time, it will automatically search for more reasons to be grateful. And when the subconscious does that, happiness stops being a goal and becomes the atmosphere you live in daily. Now take a quiet moment, breathe deeply, close your eyes, and ask yourself, am I giving orders to my happiness today, or am I still waiting for something to grant me permission to feel joy? The answer is already in your heart. Happiness does not need conditions. It only needs to be chosen. And when you choose it, the entire universe rearranges itself to reflect that choice. If you are listening now and feel a small spark rising within, leave a comment saying, I am ready to change, or simply the number 1 to affirm that today you have chosen happiness as a command for your mind. Part 12. Connecting to infinite intelligence, the art of asking question to the prophet within. There is a limitless field of wisdom flowing around you, weaving through every object, every breath, every heartbeat, and every quiet thought. It is the intelligence of the universe, or as Joseph Murphy calls it, the infinite mind, the vast database containing every answer. Most people go through life without ever connecting to this source. They search for advice from others, chase solutions outside, while the true prophet sits silently inside them, waiting to be asked in the right way. Once you learn the art of asking questions to yourself, you are no longer lost. You become guided by an eternal intelligence. Murphy compares the human mind to a 2-tier system. The conscious mind is like a small computer processing local data, while the subconscious is the network connection accessing the infinite field. When you send the right signal, the subconscious connects, downloads, answers, ideas, and inspirations the conscious mind could never invent. This explains why people find solutions in their sleep or suddenly have accurate intuition. It is not chance. It is the response of infinite intelligence. To connect to this source, you must learn to ask. A question is a signal that unlocks the door, a password that awakens sleeping wisdom. But not every question is heard. When you ask in fear, the mind reflects only chaos. When you ask with faith and stillness, the door opens. Remember, the universe does not respond to complaining. It responds to clear commands spoken with trust. Practice this 3-step method of asking. Step 1, clarify the issue. Do not ask the universe to resolve vagueness. If you simply say, I want happiness, the subconscious has no image to work with. Be specific. Define, pinpoint. For example, how do I regulate my emotions when I lose motivation? Or what is the solution that lets me grow my career while staying balanced? When you define clearly, you give the subconscious a precise assignment. Step 2, give the question with absolute trust. In the drowsy state, as the conscious mind sinks into silence, say slowly, Infinite intelligence within me, I hand this problem to you. You already know the perfect answer, and I will receive it at the right time. Then stop thinking. Do not analyze or guess. Trust is the strongest signal you can send to the deeper mind. Step 3, let go and observe. Once asked, do not dig the question up again. Let the subconscious work. It will answer in natural ways. Sometimes you wake with a sudden clear idea. Sometimes you read a sentence in a book that feels written for you. Sometimes you feel a nudge to call someone, and from that the solution appears. These signs are the response of infinite intelligence. Do not look in noise. Listen in quiet. This wisdom speaks in whispers. When you practice this regularly, a deep shift occurs. You begin to feel guided, that a force is moving with you and you are no longer alone in the ocean of life. Every decision becomes lighter, every step illuminated. Instead of wrestling with logic, you begin navigating by intuition. And intuition, as Murphy says, is infinite intelligence translated into human language. To strengthen this connection, create a practice called the Intuition Journal. Each day, write your sudden insights, unusual ideas, meaningful dreams. Also, write the outcomes, which intuitions were correct, which ideas worked. After a few weeks, you will see evidence that the inner intelligence is active. As your trust grows, the connection strengthens. The subconscious operates by feedback. The more you believe, the clearer the signal. Another powerful tool is the nighttime question ritual. Before sleep, write the problem you want to solve in the form of a clear question. For example, how can I use my time more effectively, or what is stopping me from moving forward? Read the question a few times, then say, within infinite intelligence, show me the right answer. Sleep with that trust. In the morning, before doing anything, write down every thought, dream, or feeling that appears first. This is the message. You may not understand it at first, but if you stay consistent, the language becomes familiar. You will realize it never stops speaking. You simply had not tuned in. When you live in this connection, life becomes a harmonious flow. Events unfold, as if an invisible hand is arranging everything, leading you to the right place, right people, right timing. You no longer try to control everything because you know you are being guided. This is the state of someone who has learned to converse with the inner prophet. Now close your eyes gently and ask, is there something I'm struggling with that I have never entrusted to the infinite intelligence within me? Try just once. Give it away and trust that the answer is already on its way. And when it arrives, you will understand that this wisdom has never left you, not for a single moment. Part 13. Conquering Fear. The Law of Substitution and the Victory Movie Technique. Fear is the gatekeeper of the mind. It stands between you and every dream, holding you back from stepping into your potential. Each time you prepare to do something meaningful, it appears whispering, be careful, step back, then building an imaginary wall before your eyes. But that wall is not real. It is made of images you created. Joseph Murphy teaches that fear is not an outside force, but the product of imagination used in the wrong direction. When you learn to use that same energy to imagine differently, fear transforms into strength. Look directly at the nature of fear. It does not arise on its own. It is programmed. A memory, a sentence of past failure can become a seed of fear, and the subconscious will nurture it. When you think about the future, you are projecting your own movie, and if that movie is filled with scenes of falling, losing, or being rejected, the body reacts as if it were happening. Sweat, a racing heart, trembling hands, all are reactions to an illusion. You are not attacked by reality, but by the image in your mind. Murphy calls this the law of substitution, the law that says you cannot erase a thought, you can only replace it with a stronger one. You cannot fight fear because fighting makes you think of it and thinking feeds it. The only way to win is to replace the fearful image with an image of victory. If your mind is playing the movie of failure, turn it off and project the movie of success. This is the technique he calls the victory movie. Begin by identifying your specific fear. Do not say vaguely, I fear failure. Be precise. I fear that when I step on stage, I will speak poorly. I fear others will laugh. I fear I am not good enough. By naming it, you pull it out of the dark. Then write the opposite scene, the victory scene. If you fear public speaking, imagine yourself standing in the light, your voice clear, your audience listening, their faces smiling, applause rising. Feel the confidence, the joy, the gratitude. That feeling is the energy of substitution, the new current that dissolves the old frequency of fear. Practice projecting this movie each night before sleep. In a few minutes of silence, imagine your victory as if it is happening right now. If you fear unemployment, imagine receiving the acceptance call, hearing the recruiter joyful. If you fear illness, see yourself healthy, walking outside, breathing fully. If you fear loss, imagine the calm that comes from knowing everything is unfolding for your highest good. The subconscious does not distinguish real from imagined. It understands only images and emotions. When you repeat your victory movie enough times, the subconscious stores it as a new command. From there, it begins adjusting your body, your actions, and your circumstances to turn that movie into reality. A fearful person sees reasons to retreat. A trusting person sees evidence to move forward. Both are right, because each sees only what their subconscious has been commanded to seek. If old images return while you practice, do not be angry or resist. Simply say, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but I do not need you now," and immediately replace it with the new image. Each time you do this, you deepen the neural path of courage and weaken the path of fear. Another way to practice is to write a fear inventory. List 3 things that worry you most. For each one, write the opposite story, the positive version of the same situation. Read these daily until whenever you think of the issue, your mind automatically presents the positive image. This is how you train the subconscious to shift from fear response to trust response. You can also try the 21-day substitution ritual. Choose one major fear, such as fear of rejection. Each time it arises, treat it as a signal to start your victory movie. Close your eyes, smile, and project the scene where you are welcomed, valued, and appreciated. Practice for 21 days and the subconscious will learn the new habit. Murphy says fear is not the enemy, but an invitation to strengthen faith. Fear is the opportunity to prove that your mind is stronger than the image you created. When you understand this, fear loses its power. Now pause for a few seconds, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what is the thing I fear most right now? Name it. Then immediately imagine its opposite. If you fear loneliness, see yourself smiling among those who love you. If you fear failure, see yourself crossing the finish line. Repeat the scene until relief spreads through your body. When you master the ability to replay the movie inside your mind, you master your entire life. For life is only the outer screen reflecting the inner film. If the inner film is victory, the outer world cannot possibly be defeat. Part 14. The harmonious mind uniting the commander and the crew. At last, when you have learned how to speak to the subconscious, when you understand the language of emotion and imagery, when you know how to replace fear with faith, something extraordinary begins to happen. It is the harmony between the conscious and the subconscious. This is the final destination of the journey Joseph Murphy calls the harmonious mind. In this state, you are no longer two people living inside one body with one pulling forward and the other pulling back. You become one unified being, where the commander and the crew move toward the same goal. From that moment, life starts to flow more easily. Things that once required effort now unfold naturally because there is no inner resistance. When the conscious mind gives an order, the subconscious obeys without debate. When you say, "I am peaceful," your whole being responds with calm. When you say, "I succeed," every action, emotion, and decision aligns with that direction. A harmonious mind is the true seat of power, because all your energy is no longer scattered by the useless battle between doubt and desire. Imagine a ship leaving the harbor. Earlier, the commander on deck shouted, "Go east," while the crew below rowed west because they were still following an old map. The ship kept circling the ocean, exhausted, going nowhere. But when the commander learns to speak in the language the crew understands, when he delivers new orders with clarity, emotion, and vivid images, they stop, listen, and move together. The ship begins to glide straight ahead without shouting, without force. The power of harmony is greater than 100 times the power of force. To reach this state, you need 3 daily rituals: the morning ritual, the midday check-in, and the evening ritual. In the morning when you wake, spend 5 quiet minutes aligning the conscious and subconscious. Remember 3 steps: gratitude, command, and imagery. First, give thanks for a new day. Then issue the order for the mind. Today I choose peace. Today I choose love. Today I choose confidence. Finally, imagine yourself living in that state, your smile, your voice, your breath, all carrying the tone of what you have chosen. During the day, perform a short check-in 3 times. Use an alarm or a natural cue, like seeing the clock strike an even hour. When the signal appears, pause for a moment, breathe deeply, and ask, what state am I in? Am I still aligned with my morning intention or drifting back to the old rhythm? If you detect tension or doubt, close your eyes and repeat the morning command to realign your direction. This is how you keep the ship on course, not letting it drift with outside turbulence. In the evening before sleep comes, the report. You are the commander, but also the one responsible for the journey. Review your day with gratitude. Thank the good moments and also the challenges that helped you grow. Do not judge, simply observe. Then hand over all worries to the subconscious with a gentle command. Tonight I give you everything that needs resolution. Turn it into wisdom and return peace to me when I rise. Finally, fall asleep with a short affirmation like a lullaby. I am peaceful, I am guided, all is well. When you maintain these 3 rituals, the bridge between the 2 parts of the mind becomes strong. Gradually, you feel subtle changes. Your reactions to difficulty become softer, your intuition clearer, your body healthier. Every action becomes natural, as if a current is carrying you and you simply trust the flow. This is the state sages call living in the flow. In the harmonious mind, you no longer need to control the world because you know the world is only a mirror of your inner state. When the inside is aligned, the outside arranges itself. People who once hurt you may return seeking reconciliation. Opportunities you thought were gone appear again, doors that were closed open easily as if no obstacle ever existed. Harmony is not the absence of emotion, but the music of order. It does not erase anger or sadness, but gives them the right place in the symphony. Anger can become fuel. Sadness can become understanding. When every emotion knows its position, life becomes a complete melody without discord, without noise. Now ask yourself, how long have you lived with 2 opposing voices inside, one pushing you forward, one pulling you back? Know that this battle can end today with one decision, the decision to reconcile. Say within, from this moment, I and myself are one. Breathe deeply and feel your body respond with calm. That is the sign that the commander and the crew have just signed their peace pact. From now on, your inner ship will sail straight, without confusion, without crashing into hidden rocks, because the one who steers and the ones who row are looking to the same star, and that star is your highest self, the place where everything is already safe. Part 15, the daily ritual of a master of the mind, the journey of maintaining harmony. When you understand the laws of the mind, when you learn to speak to the subconscious, when you know how to plant positive seeds and replace fear, the real journey begins. Mastering the mind is not an achievement you obtain in a single day. It is a ritual you practice every day. Like a gardener, you must continue watering, nurturing, and removing weeds. Otherwise, the garden will quickly be covered again by the wild growth of old habits. Joseph Murphy calls this the art of conscious living, where every thought, every word, and every emotion becomes a sacred act. Mastering the mind is not fighting yourself. It is living with yourself in awareness. Each morning you no longer react automatically to the world. You choose your attitude. When anger comes, you do not let it lead you. You watch it pass like a wave moving under the ship you steer. When sadness appears, you do not drown in it. You see it as a temporary cloud. This is the power of someone who has trained the mind, someone who knows that no emotion is stronger than their conscious presence. Murphy teaches that to maintain harmony, you need a 3-stage spiritual ritual: morning, noon, and night. Morning is the time to plant the command. Begin the day with 1 minute of stillness, breathe deeply, and feel light entering the mind. Say within, today I choose peace, today I choose love, today I choose to act from faith. When you say this, you are laying the tracks for the mental train to follow. The entire day will move according to the direction you choose in those first moments. Noon is the time to check the journey. Take a few minutes, step away from your work only to return inward. Ask yourself, what is my mind leaning toward? Am I living in love or in tension? If you see yourself drifting, simply breathe, close your eyes, and say softly, I return to center, I am at peace. One conscious breath is enough to bring you back to balance. Evening is the time for gratitude and release. Before sleeping, close your eyes and look back on your day as if watching a movie. Thank every scene, both good and difficult. Thank joy for its light and thank challenge for its strength. Then say gently, everything unresolved, today I hand over to the subconscious. Let the night be my hidden healer. Return me peace by morning. Fall asleep with a soft affirmation like a lullaby. I am peaceful, I am guided, all is well. Besides these three main rituals, there are small practices you can use throughout the day to keep the mind clear. When you wash your hands, imagine washing away worry. When you step outside, imagine light surrounding you. When you eat silently, thank the energy that nourishes you. These small acts continually remind the subconscious that everything in life is sacred, that you are living in a stream of awareness. One of the most important habits is the mental diet. Be cautious with what you read, hear, watch, and speak. Every piece of information is a seed. When you speak badly of someone, you plant negativity in your own soil. When you read something full of hope, you water your faith. Choose carefully the way a gardener selects the best seeds. If there are days when you feel pulled backward, remember this is natural. The mind has inertia, and sometimes the past tries to pull you in the old direction. Do not blame yourself. Simply notice, smile, and return. Each return strengthens the new habit. Like a river, even with many bends, it always moves toward the sea. A helpful exercise Murphy recommends is the 1-minute reconnection. Whenever you feel lost, pause for 1 minute, breathe and repeat 3 words silently: peace, gratitude, trust. These 3 words reopen the door of harmony. If you do this often, you will feel your inner energy becoming clear. When the commander and the crew are fully united, life stops being a battlefield and becomes a co-creation. You no longer chase happiness because happiness becomes your natural state. You no longer beg for luck because luck becomes the reflection of your alignment. Remember that mastering the mind is not a destination but a way of living. Each day you are aware, each day you choose again, that is victory. If you fall, stand up. If you forget, remember again. You do not need perfection, only honesty with yourself. Now, gently close your eyes and ask, am I living as the commander or am I letting my mental ship drift? If the answer is, I want to lead, then say softly, today I choose to live in awareness. That single sentence, repeated daily, becomes the thread that keeps you in the orbit of peace. And when you maintain this ritual long enough one morning, you will wake and realize you no longer try to believe, for belief has become your breath. You no longer try to be happy because happiness has become your instinct. In that moment, you are no longer following Murphy's teachings. You have become the living expression of them. Part 16, the finale, the inner orchestra, and the symphony of a new life. The journey now comes to its closing moment where you are no longer a seeker, but someone who has found. You have understood that the mind is the only doorway to every change. Each thought is a note, each emotion a drumbeat, and each belief the main melody of your life's music. Until now, the orchestra has always played, but without a conductor. Instruments were out of sync, some too loud, some too faint, creating a chaotic harmony. But now you have stepped onto the podium, taken the baton, and the orchestra has begun to listen. In this new symphony, you do not silence the old notes. You simply give them the right place. Fear is no longer the enemy, but the deep tone that highlights courage. Sadness is no longer darkness, but the pause that makes joy feel deeper. Failure is no longer a stain, but the prelude to triumph. When every emotion, memory, and experience finds its rightful seat, you reach the highest state of being, which is harmony. Murphy says that when the conscious and subconscious unite, a person becomes a co-creator with the higher mind. In that moment, all limits dissolve. You no longer plead because you understand the laws of the mind. You no longer search for miracles because you realize you are the miracle. You know that every thought is a seed, and you have learned the art of sowing. You know that emotion is the water, and you have learned to pour it with gratitude. You know that action is the light, and you have learned to shine it with faith. Now look back at the journey behind you. You began with a garden overgrown with weeds where the seeds of fear and limitation tangled together. You learned to recognize the two forces within the conscious and the subconscious. You discovered you cannot win by fighting, only by agreement. You learned to speak the language of the subconscious, the language of images, emotions, and stories. You understood that autosuggestion is not empty repetition, but a trusting conversation with the loyal friend within. You learned to release fear, forgive the past, and choose happiness as a sacred command. Then you realize there is an infinite intelligence quietly guiding you. You learn to ask questions, then stay silent to hear. You learn to walk through the night with the faith that light is still working in the dark. You practice daily through simple rituals to keep the ship of the mind on course. And today, reaching this point, you have walked the full path of someone who has learned to conduct their own being. But this is not the end. This journey does not finish on a page. It begins in real life. Each morning you wake is a new chapter being written. Each word you speak, each thought you think is a line of music unfolding. And each time you choose peace over fear, trust over doubt, you lift the baton and guide your orchestra into greater harmony. Remember, your power lies not in controlling circumstances, but in mastering your response. When you are peaceful, circumstances will adjust themselves to match that frequency. When you are grateful, life will bring you more to be grateful for. When you love, the world reflects love back to you. Everything begins within, because the outer world is only the mirror of the inner one. From now on, when you look into the mirror in the morning, remember that the one looking back is your subconscious. Smile at it and say, today I choose to live in faith. I choose to sow what is good. I choose to be the creator of my own life. Each smile is the opening note of your new symphony. And when night comes before sleep, thank yourself. Thank yourself for getting through the day, for learning how to love, for not giving up. That gratitude keeps the music playing through your sleep, so that in the morning when you awaken, you hear the gentle echo of your own soul. The symphony of a new life begins with someone who knows how to conduct their own mind with a spirit aligned to the soul. And if you are listening now, know that the baton is already in your hand. The inner orchestra is waiting for you to raise your arm. Breathe deeply. Feel the heartbeat as the opening drum. Feel the breath as the strings rising. Then smile, because the concert of your life officially begins at this very moment.